Future gods and goddesses in training, welcome back to the channel. It's Uncle Makara. Today we're talking about dangerous and unhealthy flow state. So flow state is a very interesting topic to me, and I've been studying it for many years. I'm a flow state guide and specialist. I teach others how to channel. I teach others how to tap into the state of peak performance. And I think it's very, very fascinating once you really break it down and you start to understand what's really going on. Now, there's a shadow to flow state, okay? And this shadow to flow state is what I want to talk about. When people use flow state as an escape, okay? So if you're using flow state as an escape, you're probably addicted to that state of flow, which is creating an obsession rather than a passion. If you remember the Disney movie Soul, they said that the lost soul were the ones that were not stuck in the zone, but they got so obsessed that it took them into the darkness. And remember, the shaman is the one who can see in the dark, okay? So you've got to understand how to get yourself out of this darkness if you are using flow state as an escape, okay? If you're using flow state to cut out everything else in your life and only focus on that one goal, missing out on the other opportunities that come along the wayside for you, okay? So you get so one-track minded, so honed in that you miss the moments. You don't stop and smell the roses. You don't take time for self-care. You just brush through and allow that thing to take you like a whirlwind of energy. Look at all the people who go to these festivals and events. Not all of them are like this, but a lot of them are. They're stuck in the same cycles of high and low and high and low, and you know, they're crashing and then they're flowing again, and then they're crashing and then they're flowing again. And of course we're doing it in our own ways, okay, throughout the day. Your brain will always seek self-actualization, positive experiences, peak experiences. But when you get sidetracked into a side quest that's so irrelevant, right, to your journey, let's say you get a drug addiction, right, and you get access to flow state through that, instead of what? Your natural beingness. So that means you cannot rely on your natural authenticity and skill set. You need some other crutch to try to get into the zone. I need to drink alcohol in order to socialize. You're giving yourself all of these parameters in order for you to crush it and tap in. And this is not a healthy way of maintaining that vital Vajra life force energy, that life lightning as we call it in Primal Sutra. Okay, if you're not familiar with that term, life lightning, it's because you haven't delved deeply enough into this channel or what I'm talking about. Maybe you just came across this video. Welcome, okay? Make sure you give me a thumbs up because it helps the algorithm in some way, at least, if you're giving me some support. Let me know if this topic resonates with you, because I don't think too many people talk about this. They think flow state is this all-encompassing, amazing state, but it can also have a negative impact on ourselves, specifically if we get really into that weird, you've seen these people who are like all hustle mentality and they treat everybody like shit, right? They're kind of dicks if you think about it, right? They're not really kind, compassionate souls doing anything for the bigger picture or scheme of things. They're not being of service. They're being selfish, right? So they're using a flow state as this selfish practice to create a bubble, right? A pleasure dome around themselves, cutting off circulation and separating themselves from the world, okay? And if we understand Horus is the opposite of Set. The energy of focus, or Horus, is the opposite of that chaos flow energy, okay? Where everything is too much and it's so much divergence and so much, freedom that it creates an overwhelm. So this is why you've got to stop going with the flow, but to be the flow, to be like water, to be able to decide and set boundaries and containers for your own peak performance. To say that from this time to this time, I'm going to be doing this activity, giving you a powerful engagement with your own continuum and own power, using power rather than force. If you ever heard of David R. Hawkins' book, Power versus Force, this is what we might be talking about. We cannot force ourselves and stay in force. We've got to propel ourselves, and this is from the Janusz channeling that we did. We've got to propel ourselves with the force from the struggle phase into the release, the letting go, and then maintaining that power from the higher states of consciousness, not getting drained from the lower states of anger and fear and, apathy and so forth. So when you can come from an acceptance, a willingness, that is when you start to really maintain more of this from getting by into a flow state peak essence, where you're leaning into your edge and you're allowing yourself to manifest with intention. Okay, so that's the main difference between an unhealthy, dangerous flow state to a flow state that you love, that you can maintain, and you can tolerate for a long period of time. You created a lifestyle around it. It's not some kind of party trick. Okay? Stop using your flow state as a party trick and start incorporating it into that long-term happiness, okay? That eudaimonic lifestyle, not the hedonic short bursts of dopamine hits that you get from the hedonic hamster wheel that you keep running and chasing and more and more and more and more, and it never ends. It never ends. You're never fully satisfied on that process or journey. So what we're doing is okay, Benny Benassi style satisfaction. Okay, we're maintaining that. Okay, so we're rising out of the ashes. We are allowing ourselves to peer into the edge of our darkness, to understand our shadows, so that we don't run from it, but we integrate our shadows. That's what's going to create a truly advanced flow state lifestyle for you, where you're looking after your mind, looking after your body, looking after your spirit. And your imagination becomes this beautiful interface between all three. I think a lot of people, what happens is they let one little flow state activity get the best of them, and it keeps them trapped. And it keeps them trapped around beliefs, attitudes, thoughts, emotions around that flow state habit. Okay? The same habit, if you've kept doing and doing and doing and doing, your body has this aching for it. Your mind has this pull towards it. Your spirit has this attachment to it. Okay, so you have to actively let go, remove, release, create catharsis throughout your day. When you're taking a shower, do you imagine that the water washing you is letting all the stress, anxiety go down the drain? When you drink water, when you touch it in your hands, you give it an intention that this is going to purify me. You see what I'm saying? So become intentional about your flow state. Actually, before I eat food, different types of meat and so forth, I put my hands over it and I heal my food before eating it. Okay, not a lot of people do this, but just you setting the intention that I hope that this food will energize me, give me energy, greater strength, adaptability. Okay, what does that food mean to you? What do you want it to mean to you? Okay, through the Emoto experiments, we understood that water has a power to us, but these planets also have a power towards us that's moving us in different ways. Okay? So really, really start to understand this. This is a very, very powerful understanding that I think if you start to explore with greater depth, you will find a lot of answers for yourself. You don't necessarily need to go and seek those answers out. Once you get into that pure flow state silence, the answers will just come to you. That's what's been happening to me. I don't need to think about the solutions anymore. Everything organically fits into the scheme of things because I'm allowing myself to have that let's go energy and also that letting go energy together. And that's that beauty, that's that sweet spot that if you can maintain that, you golden. Thank you for listening. Have an incredible day and may the flow be with you. May you never be the same again. Us. Speak soon.